Hello friends, good morning everyone. So we started with block the credit in the last class and we discussed with the first block credit that is related to motor vehicles. Motor vehicles is divided into three: motor vehicles for transportation of goods and vessels and aircrafts and other motor vehicles. Motor vehicles for transportation of goods. So we have capacity does not exceed 13, capacity exceeds 13. If capacity does not exceed 13, then ITC is not available. It's a block credit, but we have three exceptions. If it is for further supply means I may be purchasing and selling the motor vehicles. I can take ITC, or I am using it in the business of transportation of persons or driving schools. In these three cases, ITC available, whereas in the other cases, ITC not available. If the capacity exceeds 13, then ITC is always available. For vessels and aircrafts, we have four exceptions. In those four exceptional cases, ITC not available. What are those four exceptional cases? These three are same. That is further supply, transportation of passengers, imparting driving skills, extra is transportation of goods. Then in all other cases, ITC is available. And all other motor vehicles also ITC available. Now, look into this. There are four services in relation to motor vehicles: repair and maintenance service, insurance service, then servicing, authorized service station services. What is the difference between repair and maintenance service, and this servicing? What is the difference? So when we purchase a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler and give it to the authorized service center, they do the servicing. That is known as servicing. Whereas when we give it to a private mechanic, that private mechanic will do the repair and maintenance service. That is that repair and maintenance. Then insurance, hiring, leasing or renting of motor vehicles. So these four services in relation to motor vehicles. If ITC is available on motor vehicles, then ITC is available with respect to this service also. Okay, so now let's try to understand this. That is, so we are going to discuss various illustrations on blocked credit. Illustrations on blocked credit. That is, say, I gave you a few examples in the last class. I'm just repeating those examples. A chartered accountant purchased, a practicing CA purchased car for use in business. A practicing chartered accountant purchased car for use in business. Whether ITC is available or ITC not available. What is your answer? ITC available. ITC not available here. Why ITC not available? Already you gave me the answer yesterday itself. Because the car's capacity does not exceed 13 and it is not falling under the exceptions. Therefore, ITC not available. How you need to write in exam? That is, as per section 17 subsection 5, motor vehicle used for transportation of persons and having capacity does not exceed 13 is a blocked credit. But in the following three cases, ITC available. If it is used for further supply, if it is used in the business of transportation of passengers, if it is used for driving skills, if it is used for imparting driving skills. In the present case, the said motor car capacity does not exceed 13 and is not covered under the exceptions. Therefore, ITC not available. Like that you should write in exam. Okay. First you need to write the provision and then you need to write the discussion related to that. Then, number 2. Okay. A driver purchased car and listed it with Ola or Uber. Listed it with Ola and Uber. A driver purchased a car. In this case, ITC available. Why ITC available in this case? Because the car is purchased and that car is for the purpose of transportation of passengers. So ITC is available in this case. Now, third point. MRF Limited paid insurance premium with respect to bus purchased for transportation of passengers, for transportation of employees, okay, bus purchased for transportation of employees, and capacity is 40. Now, whether that motor vehicle is eligible for ITC? Yes. Here it is not about the bus. Bus is eligible for ITC. So insurance services with respect to that bus is also eligible for ITC. That's the point which we have discussed. If motor vehicle is eligible for ITC, then on this service also input tax credit can be availed. So now, whether we can take ITC on the bus purchased? Yes. Why? Capacity of the bus is 40. Only when the capacity does not exceed 13, it is blocked credit. But here the capacity exceeds 13, so it is not a block credit. When the motor vehicle is not a block credit, the service in relation to such motor vehicle is also not a block credit. Okay, so whether ITC available with respect to the insurance premium? Yes, ITC available with respect to insurance. Okay, then next example, number 4. Okay, a school purchased a bus. A school purchased a bus for transporting its students, and capacity 25. Now what is your answer? ITC available or not available? ITC available or not available with respect to this? ITC available here. ITC available. Logically ITC available, but the outward supply is exempted. How, sir? Sir, a school transporting students, faculty and staff is exempted, na? So school providing service by way of transportation of students, faculty and staff is exempted. So when their outward supply is exempted, they cannot take ITC on inward supply. ITC not available. Even though as per blocked credits, ITC available, but the outward supply of the school is exempted. So I'm just writing that the said activity is exempted. The said activity is exempted. Due to that reason, ITC not available. Understood? Then, next one here. Next one. A factory purchased a truck. A factory purchased a truck and received repair and maintenance services. Received repair and maintenance repair and maintenance services. Can ITC be availed? Can ITC be availed? What is your answer? Can ITC be availed with respect to repair and maintenance service? Can ITC be availed with respect to repair and maintenance service? So can they take ITC with respect to repair and maintenance service? Yes or no? Sir, first, truck is eligible for ITC? Yes. When truck is eligible for ITC, then repair and maintenance service in relation to truck is also eligible for ITC. ITC available. ITC available. Generally, repair and maintenance service, then insurance service, hiring and renting of motor vehicles, and authorized service station service is blocked credit if the motor vehicle is not eligible for ITC. If the motor vehicle is eligible for ITC, these 4 services are also eligible for ITC. So these 5 examples will give you some clarity about this motor vehicles point. Okay. Construction related blocked credits. So what is that construction related blocked credit? See, when a person is engaged in construction of an immobile property, and if he has inward supply with respect to any service in relation to construction, or any goods purchased for construction, or works contract service received in relation to construction, that person cannot avail ITC. For example, I want a building to be constructed. I'll go to one works contractor. I'll ask him to provide the works contract service. What is works contract? There is both transfer of property and goods as well as provision of services for a single consideration. That is known as works contract. So in case of works contract service, I will pay the contract price along with GST. Can I take ITC? No, I cannot take ITC. Why? Because works contract service received in relation to construction of an immobile property is a blocked credit. ITC not available. Understood or not? Now, I may go to one person to purchase. Like goods required for construction of an immobile property. Can I take ITC with respect to that? Yes, I can take ITC with respect to that goods. No, yeah, because those goods are used in relation to construction of an immobile property. For example, rather than receiving works contract service, I may buy all the material required like cement, bricks, then building fittings, electrical fittings, then doors, etc. I purchase. On that I pay GST. Can I take that as ITC? No. Any goods purchased for use in the construction of an immobile property, ITC not available. Then number 3, that is services, construction services or any services received for construction of an immobile property. I am receiving interior decorator service, construction service, architect services. On all these things, I cannot take ITC. So 3 inward supplies. 3 inward supplies. Remember, what are those 3 inward supplies? Come on. Any goods purchased for construction of immobile property. Any service received for construction of immobile property. Works contract service received for construction of immobile property. ITC not available. Okay. However, we have 3 exceptions. What is the 3 exceptions? Rather than capitalizing the expenditure, if you charge it to P&L, you can take ITC. Got it? Rather than capitalizing the expenditure, if you charge it to P&L, you can take ITC. What is that? Listen carefully. I have spent some money on renovation of the building. I have spent some money on renovation of the building. For that, I received the construction services. I paid some money, na? And this money, whatever expenditure I incurred on renovation, I charge it to P&L. You understood? Sir, I asked one contractor to provide the services in relation to renovation of my building, office building. I paid some 1 lakh rupees, but this 1 lakh, instead of capitalizing, I charged it to P&L. Now can I take ITC? Yes. Sir, means this is like a loophole. Of course it is a loophole, but who will comment on this? Statutory auditor will comment on this, because which fundamental accounting assumption is defeated? Matching concept is defeated. how can you charge capital expenditure to P&L? You should not do that because it is against the matching concept. Therefore, capital expenditure should not be charged to P&L. So that's a mistake in accounting. But okay, for the purpose of GST, we can. So in that also, in accounting also, if the management gives a representation, if the management says that no, this is only revenue expenditure because next year also we will do renovation, then definitely it will become revenue expenditure. So therefore, this is like a loophole. So whenever the construction expenditure is incurred, rather than capitalizing, if you charge it to P&L, you can take ITC. Okay. So see the third point. If construction expenditure is charged to P&L, okay, then also ITC can be availed on the above inward supplies. That is one exception. Another exception, listen carefully. If the said immobile property is plant and machinery, for example, I wanted a lift or an escalator to be constructed. Lifts and escalators are movable or immovable? Lifts and escalators are movable or immovable? Sir, it is movable. Sir, moving. Sir, up and down it is moving. Sir, that is not moving. Movable means you are taking it from one place to another place. That is known as movable. Okay. So, is it movable or immovable? It is immovable. So, for that lift and escalator, I receive construction service or I buy the material required for that. Can I take ITC? Yes, because that is plant and machinery. So, for construction of a immobile plant and machinery, ITC is available. Second point. Construction of plant and machinery, even though immobile, okay, but plant and machinery excludes telecommunication towers and pipelines laid outside factory. Plant and machinery excludes telecommunication towers and pipeline laid outside factory. For example, I have got some, like I purchased some goods or I received construction service for erection of a telecommunication tower. I am a telecom operator. Now, can I take ITC? No, because generally that is immobile. Any immobile property, so ITC not available. But sir, plant and machinery ITC available, but plant and machinery excludes telecommunication tower. Due to that reason, ITC not available. Same way, pipelines laid outside the factory is also excluded from plant and machinery. So, if these construction service or works contract service or any goods purchased for construction of pipelines, can we take ITC? No, we cannot take ITC. Okay. Then, third exception. Whatever block the credit is only to recipient, not to supplier. That is, I am the owner of the property. For me only it is block the credit. You are providing me construction service. Now you receive some services. Can you take ITC? Yes. Or you purchase some goods. Can you take ITC? Yes. So the restriction is only for the owner of the property, not to the supplier. Even though you are engaged in construction of immobile property, but you are not the owner of the property, you are the supplier. I am the recipient. So I am the owner of the property. So if I receive, if the invoice is in my name, I cannot take ITC. But if invoice is in your name, you can take ITC. Understood? So that is this first exception. The above discussion is not applicable to supplier. That is, if a works contractor receives construction service for construction of immobile property, then ITC can be availed on construction services. Okay. Then, so this is with respect to that. So have a look into this illustration. You will get an idea. Sir, Ford Limited wanted a factory building to be constructed. Now, Ford Limited, supplier is contractor. Yes, supplier is contractor. There is one query. Sir, but capital expenditure charged to P&L is not fair. Now, of course, I am also telling that it is not fair. But that is the loophole which is available to avail the credit. Okay. Then, sir, if we charge it to P&L, we will be the one who is at loss because in DT, we will not get depreciation benefit. For the purpose of income tax, you maintain separately. For the purpose of income tax, you maintain separately. So, it's okay because we will not get depreciation benefit For income tax purpose, we will take separately because the calculation will be separately for accounting and separately for income tax, na? Yes or no? So, wherever you charge, if you charge it to P&L or if you capitalize in the form of depreciation, it will enter into P&L. Rather than entering into P&L over 3-4 years, you are putting everything in the first year itself. You understood? Because of which you are getting loss. But it is not a allowable expenditure under section 31 for computing income tax. That's okay. Let's pay income tax, not an issue. You understood? But in income tax, we can claim depreciation. Na? It's a disallowable expenditure, but we can add it to the capital expenditure, and on that we can claim depreciation under income tax. So therefore, we are literally not at loss. Rather than charging it to P&L over 3-4 years, everything we are putting it now. Now itself we are recognizing the loss. It's okay because we get a benefit called as input tax credit received. For that they may do. Okay. Then next, ITC blocked with respect to construction service only for recipient. Not construction service, any service. Any service, yeah. It need not be construction service. Any service. Any service means, any service means construction, interior decoration, or architect, etc. Okay. Any service. Any service. If I need to give you the examples, we can take construction, architect, interior decorator, all these are services in relation to construction of an immovable property. Okay, so it need not be construction service, any service. Now, have a look into this example here. Ford Limited wanted a factory building to be constructed. Now they have two options. Option number one, they can receive the service of a works contractor, and a works contractor is providing services to Ford Limited by way of construction of a building, for which Ford Limited paid contract price. Can they take ITC? No. Why? Works contract service is a blocked credit. ITC not available, and it is not coming in the exceptions also. So ITC not available. Then, now that works contractor for the purpose of construction purchases goods from the market, can the works contractor take ITC with respect to those goods purchased? Yes, the works contractor can take ITC with respect to the goods purchased because the restriction is only to owner of the property, not to the supplier. So works contractor can take ITC. Then works contractor receives supply of services from a construction contractor. Now, can the works contractor take ITC even though it is in relation to construction of immovable property? But can works contractor take ITC? Yes, because the construction service is blocked credit only to owner of the property, not to the supplier. Therefore, works contractor can take ITC. Okay. Then next, Ford Limited is going for another option. Option 2. Option 1, they can receive works contract service. What is the advantage of works contract service? They don't have to buy the material separately from the market. Works contractor himself purchases whatever material required and completes the construction and hands over the property. Clear or not? Whereas in option 2, what this Ford Limited has to do, they will receive the construction contracts or services separately and they will purchase the material required. Now, can they take ITC with respect to material purchase? No, they cannot take ITC with respect to material purchase. Why they cannot take ITC with respect to material purchase? Because goods purchased for construction of an immovable property is blocked credit. That's why ITC not available. Now they receive services from a construction contractor. Can they take ITC? No, they cannot take ITC with respect to construction contractor because construction service is blocked credit. Now that construction contractor receives interior decorator services, can the construction contractor take ITC? Yes, because the restriction is only to owner of the property, not to the supplier. So here construction contract is the supplier, so he can take ITC with respect to interior decoration service even though it is in relation to construction of an immovable property. Done. So this is the example in relation to the particular point. Sir, if the cost of renovation is 3 lakhs, okay, and the service is to be performed in the financial year 2021, due to lockdown, the service is getting delayed and get extended to next financial year. ITC allowed, sir. What's your doubt here? I didn't get you. Why ITC is available? Only when you receive the service you can take ITC, na? Additional conditions for availment of ITC. What is that additional condition says? You should have actually received the goods or services. Only you can take ITC. You may incur the expenditure, but if this is getting delayed because of lockdown, whether the service is completed, no, you have not received the service. Without receiving the service, how you can take ITC? You cannot take ITC. 4 additional conditions. You should be in possession of tax invoice. You should have actually received the goods or services, and the supplier should have paid the GST on the same, and you should have filed the returns. So therefore, one condition not satisfied, you cannot take ITC. Then other blocked credits. Have a look into this. That is, say I have given various inward supplies and the exceptions. Various inward supplies and the exceptions. First, membership of a club, health and fitness center. Membership of a club, health and fitness center is a blocked credit. Okay. So what does it mean? Even though it is a business expenditure, I'll tell you, usually what chartered accountants will do, they will take membership of social clubs. Lot of social clubs like, Rotary Club, Lions Club, like that. Many social clubs are there. They will take membership in that clubs for the purpose of increasing their contacts and clientele. So they will do that. Now this membership of a club is purely business expenditure. Even then ITC not available. Membership of a club, health and fitness center. Okay. Sometimes employer will pay for the gym membership of the employee. So as an employee welfare, employer will pay for the gym membership of the employee. So that is also blocked credit. Membership of a club, health and fitness center. So ITC not available. However, we have one exception. What is that? If it is provided by employer to employee under a statutory obligation, then ITC is available. For example, say as per Factories Act, a factory should take ESI, employee state insurance membership, with respect to the workers who are working in the factory. So now, in that case, can they take ITC with respect to the membership fee paid to ESI? Yes, they can take ITC. Why? Because it is under a statutory obligation. So under the statutory obligation, if they take any membership by employer on the employee, then ITC can be availed. So employer is taking the membership for the employee under a statutory obligation. Then in that case, can employer take ITC with respect to the membership fee? Yes, ITC available. Okay, that is this point. Then Arvind Bharati has got one doubt. Sir, if the factory gets services directly from interior decorator, then ITC available? No. If interior decorator provides services to Fort Limited, whether ITC available? No. ITC not available. Okay. ITC not available. ITC not available if the services are directly provided by interior decorator to the manufacturer or the factory. Okay. So not possible. Why? Because interior decorator services is any service in relation to construction of an immovable property. ITC not available. Okay. Then next, what if supplier receives services from a third party but invoice is forwarded to the owner? So in that case, ITC not available. Simple. In whose name the invoice is, that person should not be the owner. So here, even though services are received by construction contractor, but the invoice is in the name of the Ford Limited, ITC not available, because when you raise invoice to Ford Limited will be treated as the recipient, as simple as that. Even though you are giving services to the supplier, but when you raise invoice to Ford Limited, automatically the recipient is Ford Limited, owner of the property, ITC not available. As simple as that. Okay. Then next, look into the second one, travel benefits to employees on vacation. So whenever the employees are going on a vacation, the travel expenses and all the accommodation, etc., that travel benefits are extended by employer, okay, to employees on vacation. Can employer take ITC with respect to GST paid? Let's take an example. Say our friend Rajkumar got married, and when he got married, what happened? He's working in one company, he got married. So next day after marriage, he's going to the office and so sincerely he is working. Employer will think what kind of a person he is. Next day after marriage, he is coming to the office and he is working. So it is not correct. So his employer is very much impressed with him. So therefore his employer gave him a honeymoon package. Okay. Now the entire honeymoon expenditure is borne by the employer. And for that employer paid the package and paid GST also on that. The package is 50,000 rupees per person. So two people, 50 into 2, 1 lakh. 1 lakh into GST 18%, 18,000 paid. Can the employer take ITC with respect to that 18,000 paid? 10 years. Can the employer take ITC with respect to that 18,000 paid? Possible or not possible? Possible or not possible? ITC is not available. Why? Travel benefits extended to employees on vacation. Travel benefits extended to employees on vacation. Due to that reason, ITC not available. Suppose if they are sending the employee on a business trip, now the travel expenditure is incurred by the employer. Can the employer take ITC with respect to the travel expenses? Yes, because it is employees not on vacation, on business visit. Due to that reason, suppose if they are not employees, but someone else going on a vacation, but the company is paying the sponsorship. So what is that I said? Travel benefits extended to employees on vacation. Say a client is sent on vacation by a company, or a creditor is sent on vacation by a company, or the directors of the company are sent on vacation who are not employees. In this case, whatever expenditure that is incurred by the company, can it take ITC? Yes, because even though that is on vacation, but they are not sending employees on vacation. So what is blocked credit? Only employees on vacation is the blocked credit. Only employees on vacation is the blocked credit. If they are not employees, ITC available. If they are employees but not going on vacation, then also ITC available. Then, what is the exception for this? If the travel benefit is extended by employer to employee on vacation, is under a statutory obligation. Then ITC available. For example, this is there in Karnataka. Okay, there are some establishments where Karnataka government has given a government order stating that these establishments which are employing the people from northeastern states should send the people to their place on vacation for 1 month, and the entire expenditure should be borne by the employer, because these people will come from northeastern states and will be working day and night for the sake of these establishments. So government has given an order. Under that order, so they need to incur the travel expenditure. So that is for vacation. Can they take ITC? Yes, even though it is block credit, but it falls under the exception that it is incurred by employer under a statutory obligation. Due to that reason, ITC available. Okay. Next. So there is one query. Sir, but there are some companies who design offices of big companies and charges crores of rupees. So you only said big companies. So when there are big companies, so they will be paying amount in crores that is not big for them. For their turnover, the amount what they pay is not big. So they will charge it to P&L by treating it as renovation expenses in a year. Okay. Then the companies does not get the ITC on the money paid. That's what. If they charge it to P&L, they can take ITC. Otherwise, they cannot. Only when they charge it to P&L, they can take ITC. Then next. Non-resident taxable person. Who is a non-resident taxable person? A person who comes from the other country to India for the purpose of supply of goods or services in India and is not having any physical place of business in India. So that person is not having any physical place of business in India is known as a non-resident taxable person. So who is a non-resident taxable person? So we are trying to understand who is a non-resident taxable person. So see this. NRTP, non-resident taxable person. Non-resident taxable person. Say, Mr. Xingfang of Korea. Okay. And names will be like that only. Xingfang, Fungfang, like that and all name will be there. We will not be able to pronounce. Okay. So Xingfang of Korea, owner of a smartphone brand, Papaya visits India. Okay. So when Apple is a brand name, you agree. When Papaya is a brand name, what is your problem? Papaya can also be a brand name. Okay. So Xingfang of Korea, owner of smartphone brand Papaya, visits India. Okay. Visits India and make supply of 1,000 mobiles to Flipkart by importing the same okay, by importing the same in his name. Now, whether Xingfang of Korea is a resident in India? Xingfang of Korea is a resident in India? No. Xingfang is not a resident in India. So, not a resident in India. Next. Whether that Xingfang is having any physical place of business in India? No. Not having physical place of business. Not having physical place of business. Not having any physical place of business where in India. Okay. Then whether he visits every time daily? No. Occasionally. Visits occasionally. Then So non-resident, not a resident in India, not having physical place of business, visits occasionally. Is he making supply of goods or services in India? Making supply of goods or services in India. Making supply of goods or services in India. Then this person is known as NRTP. Then this person is known as NRTP, non-resident taxable person. Understood? So who is a non-resident taxable person? Just remember 4 points. Not a resident in India and not having physical place of business in India, visits occasionally and is making supply of goods or services in India is known as a non-resident taxable person. This non-resident taxable person should compulsorily get registered. You know that? This non-resident taxable person should compulsorily get registered in India, and that registration will be temporary registration. Compulsory registration. And this compulsory registration is permanent or temporary? Is permanent or temporary? Sir, this compulsory registration is temporary. Temporary. Now, can they take ITC on any inward supplies? They come to India. In India, they stay in a hotel. So they pay bill on the GST is there. Can they take ITC with respect to that? No. And with respect to any inward supply, they cannot take ITC. Only on one inward supply, they can take ITC. So Mr. Xingfang can take ITC only with respect to Mr. Xingfang registered in India. Xingfang registered in India can avail ITC. Can avail ITC only with respect to IGST paid on import of goods. IGST paid on import of goods. So on import of goods he will be paying IGST. On that IGST paid he can take as ITC. Apart from that, Xingfang cannot take ITC on anything else. Got it? Next. Sir, why should he visit, sir? He can operate through internet from his place itself. No, sir. Since he is only making online sales, then he will not be taxable as sir. Problem is, he don't know English. Our people don't know Korean. Okay. So that's a problem. So when he visits here, he will bring the mobile. Because online, I'll tell you one super information. You try to understand. Anirudh P, that is, when we are taking online class itself, students are not joining, sir. That's the problem. Only when we are taking online class itself, students are not joining. So they wanted face-to-face class. They are telling, sir, you conduct face-to-face class, we will come and join. Now, this much I am screaming, I am taking classes. How many students are attending online live? Only 130 students are attending online live at present. Now, only 130 students are there in India and in Tamil Nadu. So there are n number of students who are writing. But why all others are not interested? They are not interested. So why should we ask that? They are not interested. Very simple. Only you 130 students, you are interested. Like that, not everyone is interested to buy from online because they have a risk. What if I pay money and what if you are not sending the products? I cannot trust you people. So Chinese, Korean and all I will not trust after COVID. You understood? So you come here, you show me the product and you deliver the product to me, then only I will take. I will not pay money to you and all. And same way, those people also will have a trust issue. They will say, if we send the product to you, what if you are not paying? You understood? That's why usually like this will happen. In example and all, you should not ask the logic. You watch thousands of movies and in that movies will you ask the logic? How many movies are in South India? So one director has taken a movie with Housefly E, and E will have a flashback. In the last Janma, it was a human being, and that will fall in love. Now it will be born as a housefly, and now as a housefly, again that housefly will fall in love with a human being. We believe, na? You understood? Are you asking logic and all in that? No. Then what is your problem? So you should not ask logic. Try to understand this, okay? So say this. So therefore, ITZ, this just for example sake I am giving you, okay? So this is about NRTP. NRTP can take ITZ with respect to import of goods, but no input tax credit on any other inward supply. Then next, look into the next one. Exactly, correct. Vijay and Nastura also, he will be swimming and coming to the shore, where some 40 nautical miles, from there he will be swimming and coming. Can a human being swim and come like that here? No, but you will not ask logic. And after swimming and coming, again he will start fighting. After swimming and coming for 4 days, he should not get up. How he will immediately fight? That's the logic, simple, okay. So we should not ask all those things. See this: food and beverages, outdoor catering, beauty treatment including cosmetic, plastic surgery and hair transplantation, life insurance and health insurance services. Okay. Exactly, correct. There is one hero called as Balakrishna in Andhra Pradesh, Telugu industry. So he slaps his tie and asks the train to come. Train will come without driver and without engine. Okay, train at least it will have wheels, it will come. Chair and table also will come. If he asks to come, it will come. If he asks to go, it will go. How? Wheels itself, it is there, it's okay, it may come. Wheel is not there, but chair and table, how it will come? There did you ask logic? No. But when I gave one example, you are asking me logic. Too much, yeah. Okay, say this. So, food and beverages, outdoor catering related to food. Then second, beauty treatment including cosmetic, plastic and hair transplantation. And number 3, life insurance and health insurance. With respect to these 3, so just remember food related. Food related is what? Food and beverages, outdoor catering. Then beauty related, beauty treatment, cosmetic, plastic and hair transplantation. Then insurance, that is life insurance and health insurance. These 3 are blocked credits. Okay. However, ITC is available in 3 cases, 3 exceptions. Exception number 1, incurred by employer under a statutory obligation. So generally, food and beverages is blocked credit. And say employer, even outdoor catering, employer pay for the outdoor catering to supply food to the workers who are working in the factory, to whom mandatorily as per Factories Act, the employer has to provide the food. As per Factories Act, they have to provide food to the workers in the morning and in the afternoon. Morning and in the afternoon, mandatorily they need to provide food to the workers who are working in the factory. For that reason, they pay money to an outdoor caterer to supply the food. Can they take ITC? Yes, statutory obligation. So they can take ITC. Okay. Then next, if inward supply and outward supply is in the same category. First exception is provided by employer to employee under a statutory obligation, and inward supply and outward supply in same category. What is that inward supply and outward supply in the same category means? That is, say there is one hospital which is providing cosmetic surgery services, and that hospital is not having surgeon. So they will ask another hospital to provide the surgeon. Now, hospital 1 is providing services to hospital 2 by way of cosmetic surgery services, which in turn the hospital 2 is providing to the patient. Now, Inward supply also cosmetic surgery, outward supply also cosmetic surgery. Can they take ITC? Yes. That is that exception number 2. Okay. Inward supply and outward supply in the same category. Now, third exception you see. Inward supply is part or component of composite or mixed outward supply. What is that? So, transportation of passengers by air. So, an aircraft operator, airline operator is providing service by way of transportation of passengers by air and is also supplying food and beverages. Now that food and beverages they are purchasing, can they take ITC? Yes, because the food and beverages what they purchase, inward supply is a part of the outward supply, which is composite or mixed supply. There are two or more supplies in a single transaction. How? Transportation of passenger service, supply of food and beverages. So in like that, when inward supply is part of the composite or mixed outward supply, then also they can take ITC. Then there is one student here. Okay, that student has asked me one doubt. Okay, what is that doubt, sir? Generally, airlines will spend for the beauty treatment of air hostess, sir. Okay, fine, correct. So airlines will spend for the beauty treatment of the air hostess. Yes. Can they take ITC with respect to the air hostess beauty treatment expenditure, sir? I said no, because beauty treatment is a blocked credit. Now he says, sir, it will come in the third exception, sir. That is, inward supply beauty treatment, outward supply. So it is part of the outward supply, sir. Air hostess is part of the outward supply, sir. Dear, don't think that way. We are paying only for travel. We are not paying for the air hostess. Clear? We are paying to travel. We are not paying for air hostess. Air hostess is not there in the outward supply. That will become different, something else. Okay. So air hostess is not in the outward supply. So therefore, inward supply should be part of the outward supply. Then only ITC is available. Okay, so that is the reason here. So what are the three, sir? Food and beverages, outdoor catering, beauty treatment including cosmetic and plastic, hair transplantation, life insurance and health insurance services. Three exceptions. Exception number 1, that is statutory obligation. Exception number 2, inward supply, outward supply in the same category. Exception number 3, inward supply is part of composite or mixed outward supply. Okay, then next, this already we discussed hiring, renting or leasing of motor vehicles. Already we know one exception. What is that? Sir, generally when you take a motor vehicle on rent, you cannot take ITC on the rent paid, GST paid on rent. So why, sir, rather than purchasing a motor vehicle, what people will do? If motor vehicle they buy, they cannot take ITC, so they will be taking it on rent. So on that rent, they will pay rental charges along with GST. The GST cannot be taken as credit. So it is a block credit. However, you have an exception. What is that exception? If the motor vehicle is eligible for ITC, when you take it on rent also, you can take ITC with respect to the rental charges. Okay. That is one exception. Now, another exception. So this statutory obligation. Statutory obligation is also an exception. What is that? Sir, generally, there is a BPO, sir. That BPO purchases a car for transporting its employees. Can they take ITC with respect to car purchase? No. Why? Car capacity does not exceed 13 and it is not coming in the 3 exceptions. Therefore, they cannot take ITC on the car purchased. Okay. Now, rather than purchasing the car, they take the car on rent a car. Can they take ITC on the rent a car? No. Why? So, as motor vehicle is not eligible for ITC, so when you take the motor vehicle on renting also, that is also not eligible for ITC. However, many state governments have insisted that the BPO which is working in the night shifts should provide cab facility mandatorily to the employees during the night shift. Then in that case, if they receive rent-a-cab service, can they take ITC? Yes. Generally, renting a motor vehicle is block credit, but if it is under a statutory obligation, they can take ITC. That is the first exception. Then second, if inward supply and outward supply is in the same category, what is that? I am into the business of renting of motor vehicles, I take a motor vehicle on rent. Can I take ITC on that? Yes. Or if renting a motor vehicle is part of the taxable composite or mixed supply. So that is, I am providing services, okay, services of access to a particular place. For example, there are some tiger reserves. So there are some tiger reserves, national parks, etc., wherein people will be going in a vehicle and they will be seeing all these lion, tiger, etc. animals and all will be outside, and we will be sitting in a vehicle and we will be watching it and going. So many tiger reserves, national parks and all. So they will do that way. So Ranthambore National Park in Rajasthan is an example. Now in that case, what will happen? They will be providing access to the national park, and also they will provide a vehicle on renting. Now it is a composite supply. That is, access to the national park along with renting of motor vehicles. Now they take motor vehicle on rent. That national park purchase, like take the motor vehicle on rent. Can they take ITC on that motor vehicles? Yes, because in their outward supply, composite supply, renting a motor vehicle is one outward supply. So they can take ITC on the inward supply. Okay. Next year, from a person opting for composition scheme, no exceptions, ITC is not available. When a person is opting for composition scheme, he cannot collect GST from the recipient. If at all he collects GST from the recipient cannot take any ITC with respect to that. Then, for personal consumption, sir, please once more explain second exception, sir. Which second exception? This one, renting. That is, I am into the business of renting of motor vehicles. My outward supply is renting of motor vehicles. So, my inward supply, I am taking motor vehicle on rent from another person. So, my inward supply also renting of motor vehicles. Can I take ITC? Yes. Okay, that is the second exception. Then, composition scheme, you know, because first of all, a person opting for composition scheme cannot charge GST. If at all he charges GST also, we cannot take ITC. Then you are purchasing goods for personal consumption. Can you take ITC with respect to that? No. Why? Because it is not in the course or furtherance of business, therefore ITC not available. Then goods lost or stolen or destroyed or written off or disposed of by way of gift or free samples. Sir, we purchased some goods, sir. Those goods are lost. Sir, what is the reason for loss? It can be any reason. It may be on account of natural reasons, normal reason, abnormal reason, whatever it may be. The purchased goods are lost, destroyed, written off, or you are disposing it as gift or free sample. Now you cannot take ITC on the inward supply. Okay. So that is also a blocked credit here. So this is about section 17 subsection 5, blocked credits. So we completed blocked credits. First, only 3 categories majorly: motor vehicles related blocked credit, construction related blocked credits, then other blocked credits. Okay. So this is the crisp summary, and if you remember this, that is sufficient with respect to blocked credits. Now, we are moving on to section 17 subsection 1, 2, 3, that is apportionment of credit. Have a look into this. Apportionment of credit and blocked credits. In that blocked credits we completed. Have a look into apportionment of credit. You see it in page number 176. Page number 176, have a look into that. Apportionment of credit. What is that? Sir, I have purchased some goods and services used only for taxable outward supply. Can I take ITC? Yes. Used only for taxable outward supply. Can I take ITC? Yes. Used only for business purpose. Can I take ITC? Yes. Now, I have purchased some goods and services used for exempted supply. Can I take ITC? No. Used for non-taxable supplies. Can I take ITC? Exempted includes non-taxable. Used for non-business purpose. Can I take ITC? No. So, inward supplies exclusively for taxable, I can take ITC. Exclusively for exempted, I cannot take ITC. Same way, inward supplies exclusively for business purpose, I can take ITC. exclusively for non-business purpose, I cannot take ITC. Simple, very, very clear. But the problem will happen when inward supplies is used for both taxable and exempted supplies, business and non-business purpose. Is it clear? When I am using for both taxable and exempted supplies, business and non-business purpose, then only apportionment of credit will come into picture. What does it say? Proportionate to a taxable, credit is available. Proportionate to business purpose, credit is available. Have a look into this chart. See this chart. Sir, what is the chance of testing apportionment of credit concept? Maybe some 30% probability. 30% probability. Okay. Rarely they are asking question. So, but we should not take a chance. That's why I'm discussing. But whatever I discuss, that much only you remember and go for exam. That is enough. This particular apportionment of credit concept has not been asked till date. But we should not take a chance. We will discuss this. But whatever I'm telling, that much you learn and go for exam. That is sufficient. Okay. Then next, say this. So goods and services used partly for business and partly for non-business. ITC available only as is attributable to business purpose. Used partly for making zero rated supplies and partly for exempted supplies. ITC available only as is attributable to taxable supplies including zero rated supplies. Okay. How will it work? How will it work? First of all, we should take the credit. Then we should reverse the credit with respect to exempted supply or non-business purpose. First we should take the credit. And then reverse the credit with respect to exempted supply or with respect to non-business purpose. That is the procedure. Okay. And with respect to exempted supplies, easily we will take the turnover ratio and we will calculate. But with respect to non-business purpose, what is that we need to do? If the data is available, you apportion on that basis. Otherwise, we have rule 42 and we need to follow that rule 42. Okay. So, what is it we are discussing here? Inward supplies fully used for taxable outward supply, we can take ITC. Inward supply fully used for exempted outward supply, we cannot take ITC. Partly used for taxable and partly used for exempted, we can take proportionate credit. Same way, inward supply fully used for business purpose, we can take ITC. Fully for non-business purpose, we cannot take ITC. Partly for business and partly for non-business purpose, we can take proportionate ITC. How that proportionate ITC will be taken? What is the logic? First you take full credit, then reverse the credit attributable to exempted supplies. Reverse the credit attributable to non-business purpose. Okay. So usually we need to do the reversal because there is a concept of matching. So as there is a concept of matching, first you need to take the credit so that it will match. Then related to exempted supply, you reverse. So let's see an example to understand apportionment of credit. Illustration on apportionment of credit. Illustration on apportionment of credit. Listen here. There is a person, there is a trader, there is a manufacturer. And what that manufacturer is doing, he is making purchase of some raw material. And that raw material he purchased 1,000 numbers. Okay. Raw material he purchased 1,000 numbers at the rate of at rupees 100 each, excluding GST at 12%. Excluding GST at 12%. Who that manufacturer? That manufacturer purchased raw material 1,000 numbers at rupees 100 each, excluding GST at the rate of 12%. Now what this manufacturer is doing, that manufacturer is using this raw material for two finished products. for two finished products, that is finished product A and finished product B. Finished goods A and finished goods B. With respect to finished goods A, it is taxable. Finished goods A is taxable, whereas finished goods B is exempted. Finished goods A is taxable, finished goods B is exempted. Now, we don't know out of 1000 numbers how much is used for finished goods A and how much is used for finished goods B. We don't have the data. We don't have the data. Then you see what is the turnover of finished goods A and finished goods B during the month. The turnover of finished goods A is 40 lakhs. The turnover of finished goods A is 40 lakhs and the turnover of finished goods B is 60 lakhs. 60 lakhs. Now we need to first avail the credit. First we need to avail the credit. So what is the procedure? So first ITC availed. ITC availed in GSTR 3B. ITC availed in GSTR 3B. Take the full credit, that is 1000 into 100 into 12%, that is equal to 1000 into 1000 into 1000 into 100 into 12%. You take the entire credit 12,000. 12,000 minus reversal of ITC with respect to exempt supply. With respect to exempt supply, how much reversal? Sir, you cannot take entire 12,000. 12,000 into what is the exempted to total ratio? What is the exempted turnover to total turnover ratio? Exempted turnover is 60 divided by total turnover is 100. So that is 12,000 into 60 divided by 100 is to be reversed. So 7,200. Now what is the net eligible ITC for set off? Net eligible ITC for set off with liability. How much? So 12,000 minus 7,200, 4,800 is the credit that can be adjusted with our liability. So this is how we need to calculate. Don't forget the procedure. First you take the entire credit, then reverse the credit attributable to exempted supply, and balance credit you can adjust with the liability. Okay. Same way, if it is partly used for business and partly used for non-business purpose also. First take the entire credit and then you reverse the credit attributable to non-business purpose, and remaining credit is the net eligible ITC for set off. Understood or not? Then, sir, can this reversed credit be re-availed with no time limit, sir? If not, then what's the difference between blocked credits and this 17, 2 and 3? See, blocked credit is, first of all, you should not take the credit. Blocked credits, first of all, you should not take the credit. And what is this? You are taking the credit and then reversing with respect to the exempted. So that's the difference. Okay. Like blocked credits, even if you are purchasing inward supply and using it exclusively for exempted, you are not at all taking the credit. And if it is used exclusively for non-business purpose, you are not at all taking the credit. So ineligible credits and blocked credits, you should not take it into first of all credit. It is not coming under availment of credit itself. It should not be mentioned. Okay. So I will show you GSTR 3B format so that you will get a clarity here. Okay. Say this GSTR 3B. So this is how the GSTR 3B will be, wherein there will be a table 4, and in the table 4 availment of ITC. This is the eligible ITC. Table 4 eligible ITC, you can see. Ineligible ITC will not be taken into credit. So look into point D. Look into point D. Ineligible ITC, that is blocked credits and others. What is others? Exclusively used for exempted or exclusively for non-business purpose. First of all, you will not take that credit, and other credits only you will take, and then you will do the reversal. Reversal with respect to what? reversal with respect to exempted supply or non-business purpose. Okay, so that is the difference between blocked credits and this point here. So hope you understood, got the clarity related to this. Now, what is the meaning of taxable supplies? Zero rated supply also will come under taxable supply. What are zero rated supplies? Export of goods or services and supply of goods or services to SEZ. Supply to SEZ and export is known as zero rated supply. So zero rated supply will also be coming under taxable supply, which means can we take ITC on inward supplies? Yes, we can take ITC on inward supply. That is in case of zero rated supplies here. Then what is the meaning of exempted supplies is given under section 17 subsection 3. We are analyzing that. That is meaning of exempted supplies. Analysis of meaning of exempted supplies. Analysis of meaning of exempt supplies. Meaning of exempt supplies. What is that exempt supplies means? Analysis of meaning of exempt supplies. First, we will take 3 columns for the purpose of availment of ITC and for payment of GST. Particulars, then for payment of GST, for availment of ITC, okay. So particulars, then for payment of GST, for availment of ITC. First, sir, if certain supplies are notified as exempted, or nil rated or non-taxable, if there are some supplies which are notified as exempted, like we have seen lot of notified as exempted, healthcare services is exempted and veterinary services to healthcare of animals and birds is exempted, like that. Transportation of students, faculty and staff of an education institution is exempted, like this. These are all notified as exempted. Then nil rated means the rate of GST itself will be 0. And non-taxable, that is alcoholic liquor for human consumption and petroleum products, non-taxable supplies. These 3 are treated as exempted even for payment of GST as well as for availment of ITC. While doing availment of ITC, computation of exempted by total, because generally what we need to do, we need to reverse based on exempted by total ratio, correct or not? That is exempted to total ratio. Exempted supply divided by total supply. In that ratio you need to reverse. Exempted supply divided by total supply. In that ratio you need to reverse. Is it clear or not? Exempted supply to total supply ratio you need to reverse. For that purpose, what we need to do? So these 3 are treated as exempted. These 3 are treated as exempt supply for payment of GST, even for availment of ITC. Okay. Exempt supply for payment of GST, even for availment of ITC. Exempt supply for payment of GST, even for availment of ITC. Exempted supply. Okay. Here also same, exempt supply for payment of GST, even for availment of ITC, it is treated as exempt supply. Okay, done. Then next, number 4, supply covered under RCM. Supply, outward supply covered under RCM. Outward supply covered under RCM For payment of GST, is it taxable supply or exempted supply? For payment of GST, is it taxable supply or exempted supply? Sir, it is taxable supply. Why? Recipient will pay, but it is taxable. Okay, it is taxable supply. It is taxable supply. Only thing is that recipient will pay GST. The recipient shall pay GST. Recipient shall pay GST, but it is treated as exempted supply while doing ITC computation. While doing ITC computation, it is treated as exempt supply. This is some special point. Supply under RCM is treated as exempted supply. So when my outward supply is covered under RCM, I cannot take ITC on my inward supply. Okay. Then next. Number 5. Number 5. Sale of land. Sale of land. Sale of land. Then sale of building. Sale of building where consideration is received, not received after completion certificate. Entire amount not received after completion certificate. Entire amount not received. Entire amount received. Entire amount received after completion certificate or first occupation. Okay. Then number 7, transaction in securities. Sale of securities. Sale of securities. These three are not a supply, correct? Sale of land, sale of building, and sale of securities. These three are not a supply for the purpose of payment of GST. These three are not a supply. Not a supply. Okay. Why? Sale of land and sale of building is excluded from supply, and sale of securities is neither goods nor services. Due to that reason, it is not a supply. But it will be treated as exempted supply while computing ITC. While computing ITC, it is treated as exempt supply. It is treated as exempt supply. Okay. Then, sir, when it is treated as exempt supply, what will be taken as its value? Because it is first of all not a supply, so we will not do valuation. We will not do valuation because it is not a supply. Then when you treat it as exempted supply, what will be taken as the value? If it is sale of land and sale of building, you take value as stamp duty value. You take value as stamp duty value. Whereas if it is sale of securities, it is not a supply, and what should be taken as the value? Value equal to sale price into 1%. Value equal to sale price into 1% will be taken as the value. Understood? Sale price into 1% will be taken as the value. Got the clarity here? So in case of sale of land, sale of building, and sale of securities, this is not treated as supply, and for the purpose of computation of ITC, it is treated as exempted supply. Okay. So this is with respect to the meaning of exempted supplies. Done. Then two special cases. Point number 8 and 9. Two special cases wherein it is exempted for payment of GST but will be treated as taxable for availment of ITC. Point number 8. Interest on loans or advances or deposits. Interest on loans or advances or deposits. Interest on loans or advances or deposits. See, this interest on loans or advances or deposits, will be treated as exempted, correct? Interest on loans or advances or deposits, it is actually exempted. Now, for bank or financial institution, it is exempt for payment of GST, even for availment of ITC. It is exempt supply even for payment of GST and for availment of ITC. Whereas for others, it will be treated as exempt supply for payment of GST, but while doing computation of ITC, treat it as taxable supply. Okay. While doing the computation related to ITC, you treat it as taxable supply, but while determining GST payable, it will be treated as exempted supply. Okay. Then next, point number 9. These two are actually exempted supplies. 9. Transportation of goods by vessel from India to outside India is exempted. Do you remember? In exempted supplies, we have discussed that. Transportation of goods by vessel. Transportation of goods by vessel from where to where? From India to outside India. From India to outside India. Transportation of goods by vessel from India to outside India. What is it? Is it exempted supply or taxable supply? It is exempted. It is exempt supply for payment of GST. It is exempt supply for payment of GST, but for availment of ITC, it will be treated as taxable supply. Okay. Then next one here. Apart from these 9 points, any other point, all other supplies, apart from these 9 points, other supplies, if it is exempt for payment of GST, it will be exempt for availment of ITC. Okay. If it is taxable for payment of GST, it will be taxable for availment of ITC. If it is not a supply, then simply ignore. You don't have to take it as taxable supply or exempted supply. Okay. Simply ignore. That is this. Okay. So this is the treatment of this exempted supply analysis. Now quickly I am revising. Listen. First 3 points. Notified as exempted, nil rated, non-taxable, it will be treated as exempted both for availment of payment of GST as well as for availment of ITC. Payment of GST means while computing GST payable. Availment of ITC means while computing the ITC. Okay. Total ITC minus ITC reversal for that availment of ITC. Then next. So these 3 are exempted even for payment of GST as well as for availment of ITC. Then point number 4. Supply which is covered under RCM. It is actually exempted for payment. It is actually taxable for payment of GST, but for availment of ITC, it is treated as exempted supply. Then next 3, sale of land, sale of building, and sale of securities. These 3 are actually not a supply, but will be treated as exempted supply for availment of ITC, and the value will be in case of sale of land and sale of building, stamp duty value, and in case of sale of securities, it will be treated as like sale value into 1% will be taken as value. Then next 2 points, that is interest on loans, advances, deposits for a company other than bank and for a person other than bank, and then transportation of goods by vessel from India to outside India. These 2 are exempted for payment of GST, but for computation of ITC, it will be treated as taxable supply. And all other supplies, if it is exempt for payment of GST, it will be exempt for availment of ITC. If it is taxable for payment of GST, taxable for availment of ITC. If it is not a supply, ignore. Okay. And so today you will be receiving 2 assignments. And one assignment is related to this. I'll give you some 5 questions. By applying this, and I told you the concept. What is that you need to do? First, you need to take total ITC minus reversal net eligible ITC for set off. Okay. So like this, you need to arrive at the net GST liability with respect to now those 5 questions. That is homework for you. Okay. That is one assignment. You try that purely based on this table. Just if you keep this table, easily you can arrive at the answers for that. Okay. Then next, second assignment is I'll give you some situations whether ITC is available or not related to blocked credits, mainly related to blocked credits. Okay. Now look into this. So this we completed 17 subsection 3. We completed these points. Now further analysis. So this you can go through for your reference. Okay. For availment of ITC, for payment of GST, what it is, and for availment of ITC. So let me discuss this. If you see export of goods will be treated as zero rated supply for payment of GST. While doing ITC computation, you need to put it under taxable supply. Same way, export of services to Nepal and Bhutan, export of services to UK against Indian rupees. So that is actually taxable supply because it is in Indian rupees. For availment of ITC, it also treated as taxable. Why? Because it comes under others. Interest income earned by a bank. It is treated as exempted for payment of GST as well as for availment of ITC. Suppose if interest income is earned by a trading concern, then it is actually exempted for payment of GST, but for availment of ITC it is treated as taxable. Then transportation of goods from India to outside India by vessel. It is actually exempted, but for availment of ITC it is treated as taxable. Then transportation of goods from outside India to India by vessel, actually it is taxable. It comes under others. It is nowhere in the 9 points. It comes under others, and it is taxable for payment of GST. So it will be taxable for availment of ITC. Then transportation of goods from India to outside India by air. Sir, transportation of goods from India to outside India by air or outside India to India by air, these two are exempted. India to outside India or outside India to India by airways is exempted. So this is exempted for payment of GST as well as for availment of ITC. Others. Sale of land is not a supply, but for ITC it is treated as exempted supply. Same way, sale of securities not a supply, but for availment of ITC it is treated as exempted supply. Sale of warehoused goods under customs. This sale of warehoused goods under customs is treated as like not a supply because it is excluded from supply. For ITC, you ignore. Why you should ignore? You don't have to do anything with respect to that because this is not given in those 9 points. All other cases, if it is not a supply, leave it. Okay. So this is what you need to remember and apply for mainly computational problems involving computation of net GST payable. So in case supply under RCM, recipient can take ITC. Exactly. See, I am supplier here. I am making supply to you, and you are liable to pay GST and RCM, that you can take as credit. But I cannot take credit on my inward supply. You can take ITC on this RCM, whatever you pay, but I cannot take ITC on my inward supply. My inward supply means my purchases. I cannot take credit. Okay. Done. Then we have this rule 42 and rule 43. This is in case of input services and capital goods. What is the manner of availment of ITC in case of inputs and input services capital goods? So this we will try to understand. So I'll give you a simple chart. Just remember that simple chart, that is sufficient. Okay. Manner of availment of ITC. Manner of availment of ITC in case of inputs and input services. Inputs and input services. Where is it given? Rule 42. It is given in Rule 42. Now listen, what is that we need to do in this case? First here, we need to segregate the inward supplies into 4. We need to segregate the inward supplies into 4. That is, whatever is our inward supplies, that should be segregated into 4 boxes. We need to put it under 4 boxes. Whatever is our inward supply, we need to segregate into 4. The total inward supplies needs to be segregated into 4. First, total inward supplies, ITC with respect to total inward supplies, ITC with respect to total inward supplies, you need to take and put it into 4 boxes. Exclusively for non-business purpose. That is, now for non-business purpose. Whatever is for non-business purpose. Non-business purpose. Okay. Non-business purpose. Then exempted supplies. Exempted supplies. You understood here? See, all our purchase invoices we segregate into 4. First, used for non-business purpose. This inward supply is for non-business purpose. Put into first box. Then inward supply used for exempted supplies. So put it into second box. Then inward supply with respect to blocked credits. Blocked credit. You put it into third box. And taxable supplies, exclusively for taxable supplies. Exclusively for taxable supplies. You put it into the fourth box. Clear? Clear? So ITC with respect to total inward supplies. For example, ITC with respect to total inward supplies. See, along with example I am just giving you. So listen carefully. So total inward supplies, ITC with respect to total inward supply is 4 lakhs. ITC with respect to total inward supplies for a particular month is 4 lakhs. Non-business purpose is 1 lakh. Non-business purpose is 30,000. Non-business purpose is 30,000. Means out of that 4 lakhs, 30,000 rupees inward supply is for non-business purpose. Then next, 40,000 is for exempted supplies. 40,000 rupees out of that 4 lakhs is used for exempted supplies. Exclusively exempted supplies. And out of that 4 lakhs, 25,000 is blocked credit. 25,000 is blocked credit. And how much of that 4 lakhs is exclusively for taxable? Exclusively for taxable is 1,85,000. 1,85,000 is exclusively for taxable. Now, is there any balance left? Check. Is there any balance left? You need to check. Okay. So 4 lakhs minus 30,000 minus 40,000 minus 25,000 minus 1,85,000. Yes, there is a balance. 1,20,000. There is a balance 1,20,000. That balance 1,20,000 is known as common credit. So that balance is known as common credit. So inward supplies which you cannot segregate here, the remaining is known as common credit, which means that it is used for both taxable and exempted, business and non-business. That is 1,20,000. That is the common credit part. 1,20,000 is the common credit. So now, what is the credit that we will take as availment of ITC. Listen carefully. How much credit you will take into the ledger as availment of ITC? Can this 30,000 be taken? Can this 30,000 be taken in 3B? No, don't take it in 3B. 40,000 also don't take in 3B. 25,000 also don't take in 3B. These three are ineligible credit. Ineligible credit. So don't take it in 3B. Whereas this 1,85,000 and this common credit, you take it in 3B. So therefore, availment of ITC is what? ITC availed in GSTR 3B. What is the ITC availed in GSTR 3B? Bolo. How much is the ITC availed in GSTR 3B? 1,85,000 plus 1,20,000 equal to 1,85,000 plus 1,20,000 equal to, that is 3,05,000 is the credit that you will take in GSTR 3B. 3,05,000 is the credit. 3,05,000 is the credit that we take in GSTR 3B. Understood? 3,05,000 is the credit that we take in GSTR 3B. Now, can we enjoy the 3,05,000? No, because common credit used for both taxable and exempted. Now you need to do reversal. Okay. Now you need to do the reversal of ITC. Reversal of ITC. What is that reversal of ITC? Two reversals here. Two reversals. With respect to exempted supply, with respect to non-business purpose. With respect to exempted supply or with respect to non-business purpose. With respect to exempt supply. With respect to exempt supply. With respect to non-business purpose. How to calculate with respect to exempted supply? Very simple. So we need to first know what is the exempted turnover to total turnover ratio. That is 1,20,000 into exempted turnover divided by total turnover. Say exempted turnover is 40 lakhs. Exempted turnover is 40 lakhs and the total turnover is 120 lakhs. The total turnover is 120 lakhs. What is 40 lakhs? What is 120 lakhs? 40 lakhs is exempted turnover. 120 lakhs is total turnover. So this much will be reversed. How much? 1,20,000 into 40 divided by 120. So 40,000 will be reversed. 40,000 will be reversed. Suppose if you are using it for both business and non-business purpose, you cannot get the ratio. So flat 5% we will reverse. Flat 5%. 1,20,000 into 5%. But why this 5%, sir? Do we know any ratio? Business and non-business? No. That's why flat 5%. So 1,20,000 into 5%. That is 6,000. Sir, I am not using it for non-business at all. Then that 6,000 is not required to be reversed. Or I know how much exactly I use. Then you divide it between the table itself. In this box itself you divide. In this box itself you can divide if you know how much is used for taxable and exempted, how much is used for business and non-business. If you don't know the actual ratio, then only you come to this common credit on this basis. Now how much is the ITC reversed? How much is the ITC reversed there? How much is the ITC reversed in 3B? ITC reversed in 3B. ITC reversed in 3B. In GSTR 3B equal to 46,000. 46,000 is the ITC to be reversed in 3B. You understood here? And next, sir. So what is this 40 lakhs divided by 120 lakhs? Exempted turnover 40 lakhs. Exempted turnover during a month. Exempted turnover during a month Exempted turnover during a month is 40 lakhs and taxable turnover during a month is 80 lakhs. So that's where we got 40 divided by 120. Okay. So this is what we need to do here. Hope you understood. So how much credit we took in 3B? 3,05,000. And how much credit we are reversing? 46,000. So that remaining credit we can enjoy with the, we can adjust with the liability. So just this much you remember for rule 42, that is enough. So just this chart alone you remember for rule 42, because first of all on this area the questions are not asked. Even if it is asked, it will be of this kind only. So if you remember this chart along with illustration I gave, that is sufficient. Okay. Sir, I can segregate how much is for business and how much is for non-business. For example, renting of immobile property. 1/3 is used for business, non-business purpose. And what we will do, 1/3 we will put it under non-business purpose column. So in this table, 1/3 we will put under non-business and 2/3 we will put under taxable supplies. Is it clear? 1/3 you will put it under non-business purpose and 2/3 you will put it under taxable, like that. If you know, actually you divide it there itself. In that, between that 4 boxes itself you divide. Okay. Understood. Next. So that is this rule 42. So now you can refer to the chart. You can skip this. And you can refer to the chart here. You can skip this and refer to the chart in the book. Refer chart in notes. That is sufficient. Just that much you remember, that is enough. Then next, rule 43. So in case of rule 43, what we will do? In case of rule 43, it is very simple. First, we will take the credit on capital goods. So have a look into this. We purchase some capital goods and used exclusively for taxable supply. Can we take ITC? Yes, you take. Then we purchase some capital goods and used exclusively for exempted supply. Can we take ITC? No. Then we purchase some capital goods which are used for both taxable supply and exempted supply, or business and non-business purpose. Taxable supply or business purpose. Exempted supply or non-business purpose. Okay. Exempted supply or non-business purpose, taxable supply or business purpose. Okay. Now, so when capital goods are purchased and used for both taxable and exempted or business and non-business, what is that we need to do? First, take the ITC. So, say for example, 10 lakhs is the worth of capital goods. 10 lakhs excluding GST at 12%. 10 lakhs excluding GST at 12%. That is the capital goods. What is the step? Avail entire ITC. How much entire ITC means? 1,20,000 boss. How? 10 lakhs is the capital goods excluding GST at 12%. So 1,20,000 you take credit. Full credit you take, sir? Yes, full credit you take. And then you reverse. Full credit you take and then you will reverse. Understood or not? So it is like, what we will do. So when we are, like when a boy is getting married, amazing treatment he will get in his in-laws house. Amazing treatment. Trust me, immediately post marriage, what a kind of treatment. Thereafter, throughout his life, he will be receiving insults only. You understood or not? From his wife and from his in-laws. That's the nature of human life. That too as a male. We can't do anything with respect to that. Manufacturing defects for us. Okay. and at the time of marriage we feel, wow, we are Raja, but thereafter it will start here, torture and torture like that. You are using for both, take. How much? 1,20,000 credit you take. Happy? Yes, sir, very happy. No, you will not be happy. Every month you reverse the ITC proportionate to exempted supply of that month. Okay, sir. Then also fine. Along with interest. Why? Because you took the credit. Now you pay. Now I have a doubt whether government is a finance company or a really government. Okay. Because first they are only telling you take the credit. Then they are telling reverse proportionately exempted supply. Then they are asking interest also on that. I don't want to pay interest. Then don't take 1,20,000 credit. No, I am using for taxable supply also. I'll take proportionate credit. No, that facility is not there. If you want, take entire credit and reverse, pay interest. Why, sir? That's how you need to follow. If you have any problem, ask Nirmala Chechi. You understood or not? So, compute monthly ITC. Experience. Paduboy pasangala illapa. Not experience and all. It's not experience. It's general knowledge. Okay. I did not have that experience. Thank God. You know why I don't have this experience? See, I'll tell you one secret. This will be very much useful to you. Whether this GST is useful or not, but this secret is very much useful. After marriage, you should say yes to everything. Whatever your wife says. Your wife says something, say yes. Yes. Like that you should say yes to everything. Now, your life will be so peaceful. You will not have any kind of trouble. The day when you say no, gone. Your life is made miserable. Life is hell. Okay. So say yes for everything. Somehow I know this secret. You know why? Because in article shape, I got one bloody idiot as my principal and I will be saying yes to everything whatever that idiot says. Now I continued that post that also after marriage also. Yes. Like that. So therefore, life is so happy. No problem at all. You understood or not? This. So avail 100% ITC with respect to GST pay and transfer to electronic credit ledger. Compute monthly credit. ITC avail divided by 60 months. Here assumption is that life of the capital goods is taken as 60 months. So what is the monthly ITC? Monthly ITC is 1,20,000. 1,20,000 divided by 60 equal to 2,000. 1,20,000 divided by 60, 2,000. So now this 2,000 should I reverse? No. This 2,000 into exempted to total. This 2,000 into E by F. That 2,000 rupees into E by F. E is exempted supply. Exempt supply divided by total supply. That you need to reverse. So that 2,000 of the month. 60 months for next 60 months. 2,000 of that month into exempt supply of that month divided by total supply of that month. Along with interest at the rate of 18% per annum from when to when? From the date of availment till the date of reversal. From the date of availment till the date of reversal, we need to, pay interest also. These 4 points you remember. First point, take the ITC. Full ITC you take, 1,20,000. Second, calculate monthly ITC. How to calculate 1,20,000 divided by 60? 2,000. 2,000 should you reverse? No. So 2,000 into every month you need to take 2,000 into exempt supply of that month divided by total supply of that month. In that month there is no exempt supply, no need to reverse. In that supply fully exempted supply, so you need to reverse. Partly 50% exempted, 50% taxable, so 50% you reverse. Now whatever you reverse, on that you need to pay interest at the rate of 18% per annum from the date of availment till the date of reversal. Means 60th month when we do reversal, from first month to 60th month should we calculate interest? Yes, we should calculate interest. Okay. So this is with respect to rule 42 here. 43. So we completed rule 42 and rule 43, and now we have one important amendment, that is whenever there is a change, initial purchase we are using it for exclusively taxable. At a later point of time we are using it for both taxable and exempted. Initial purchase we are using for exempted, at a later point of time we are using for both taxable and exempted. That area is an amendment area which is important. I am expecting a question in the forthcoming exam, so that we will discuss in tomorrow's class, and then we will complete input tax credit tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow it will be over. Okay, fine. So today I will give you 2 assignments. So please take care of those assignments. Okay. And we will complete the rest in tomorrow's session. So tomorrow we will be completing input tax credit fully, and then we will be starting with a new topic, that is not new topic. Day after tomorrow we will be discussing the question and answers on valuation, value of supply. We have got that value of supply topic also now. So that value of supply, please go through the video. Day 8 part 2 video you go through, and tomorrow we will complete input tax credit. Day after tomorrow we will be starting with the valuation question answers, so that will be like a revision for us once more. Okay, that's it. Thank you.